Welcome back, everybody, to episode 6 of Strickly NFL, where there was another disappointing week of Giants football, where there was a positive, but also maybe disappointing week of Jets football, and then a lot of other crazy shit going on. So, Jeff is not joining us today. I am with Shwin, filling in. It's Good Samaritan. So, we get into a lot of stuff. Shwin, did you want to tell us about what the Strickland offers for the Patreon?
Sure. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I can do the Strickland, all the stuff. So Strickland, check out the Instagram. That is that's at the Strickland on Instagram. Posting all kinds of content on there. Strickland also has a YouTube channel where you may be watching this podcast. If you already have not done so already, please hit like and then subscribe to the channel. Maybe even leave us a comment. That would be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merchandise, which you can find on our website, which is at www.thestrick.land. There's a link that would take you to the merchandise store. We have all kinds of new stuff there. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, water bottles, coffee mugs, you name it, we've got it. Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier that gets you access to Pod Strickland, the podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to the Strickland mailbag hosted by Andrew Steele, a.k.a. Doug, although that is going through a rebrand, which we'll be announcing this week. That'll be pretty exciting. That will still be hosted by Doug, though. So keep an eye out for that. And you also get access to our Discord, where the conversation never stops. There are further tiers. $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland, my solo pod, where I rant and read about the next few more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matthew Miranda, one of the best in the business. And now you get access to Strictly NFL, this entire pod that is hosted by Constantine and Jeff, although he is not joining us today. There are further tiers, $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and $100 tiers with a variety of additional benefits like listening on pod recordings and merchandise discounts, and even potentially hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day. Whether you choose to subscribe or not, none of this would be possible without you. And now it's on you, Con.
Yeah, so anything you guys hear us reference in this episode, just know that all betting lines, props, all that comes from BetOnline. As your number one source for all your betting needs, you can get the latest odds, lines, matchup reports for many sports like baseball, boxing, golf, and so many more from BetOnline. It is the easiest and fastest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games, all available right from your phone. So to get in on all the action, you can head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up and start today. Remember that if you do sign up, you can use the promo code BELIEVE, capital BLEAV, for 50% off on your welcome bonus on the first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And this is where I will start eviscerating the Giants. And I think I'm going to get into Daniel Jones a little bit later because there's more nuance that goes into that discussion. But for the performance that we put out there, national TV 3 times for the first 4 weeks, getting just absolutely blown away in each game. I believe that the total score of all these games was maybe 100 to 15 or something like that. Some crazy number.
What was it? I mean, you could probably just figure it out. What they were down, 21-3 to the Cardinals at half or something?
I think it was 21-0 to the Cardinals at half.
All right, and they were 14-3 yesterday, so that's 35-3.
Oh no, I'm saying so Cowboys beat us by 40, the Niners beat us by 12.
Yeah.
And the Hawks beat us by 21, and then combined in those games, the score was somewhere around 90 to 100 to 15. So these teams are just showing up, whether it's MetLife or Levi Stadium, wherever it is. They're punching us in the mouth, man. There's no respect for anything the Giants do past 10 yards downfield. Shit, even fucking 10 yards downfield is a stretch. I mean, if it's past 5, it's ridiculous. There is no slower offensive line in the league. And Jeff and I were tweeting about this on the podcast last night. There is not a single lineman quick out of their stance on this line when you take away Andrew Thomas and John Michael Schmitz. So for that to be the reality when you invested so many picks into this line, right? Evan Neal, Josh Azudu, JMS this season, and then a few flyers in the draft late with McKeithen, paying a guy like Lewinsky. I hate to come on here and sound like a broken record, but this stuff is pathetic, man. It's pathetic. People put a lot of heat on Bobby Johnson, and rightfully so. He deserves all the heat in the world. But at some point, guys need to have pride. I don't know if you saw at the end of the game because people were really tuned out, I guess, by the end of the fourth quarter. But the Seahawks sideline was just, when they got the 10th sack, the 11th sack, these guys are dancing on the sideline. The game's not even over. I guess hypothetically it is, right? Because, we're not coming back from a deficit like that. But
right.
At MetLife Stadium, prime time, these guys are coming in 5 minutes left in the game and they're dancing on the opposite sideline. I mean, I've never been so disgusted as a fan.
Yeah, look, that was a pretty embarrassing performance. The offensive line was really, really bad. I would like to see the All-22 because I thought earlier in the game that fourth quarter was awful. They gave up, right? That's like a fact. The offensive line gave up. The entire team basically gave up, other than Daniel Jones. But, like, I don't even really give him credit for that because I just thought he played an atrocious game yesterday.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying I would like to see some of the All-22, and I don't know if people have been posting it today or not. I don't even know if it's out yet. But, like, it just felt like, and I saw tweets from people that were at the game that were talking about, like, dude, there are guys running open. The guy is just not making the throws, even when he has time. And, forgetting what, the plays that we did see, whatever, the one that stands out is the pick six. Like, Waller's open. That's the throw. The throw is to Waller. That play is for Waller in the back of the end zone. He's the first read. So, like, for Jones, and I have to go back and watch, but I'm pretty sure Jones had, he needed like a half more second. I'm pretty sure he had it. I don't think he was about to get hit. And he was shook and he did not wait. He didn't read the play. He didn't read the field. Like, the play was there for him because as soon as I don't know who, I think it might have been Woolen that was out in the flat covering Wandale, but like he has to step up. That opens up the back of the end zone, the back corner where Waller's running his route. They're playing zone, so that's there. He doesn't make that throw, and he instead tries to force this like horrible pass to, was it Hyatt that was in the slot? I don't even know who it was. It doesn't really matter.
It was Paris Campbell. You're talking about on the pick six, yeah.
Campbell. Yeah. It doesn't even matter who the fuck it was because it's not on the receivers there. On that one, it was not on the receiver, and he just makes a horrible throw. And like, I have a little bit more sympathy for like the fumble that he gave up deep in Giants territory, which kind of set up the Seahawks' first touchdown.
Yeah.
But even that one, you're like, just fucking take the hit. Like, stop. Like, that play was dead. It was dead. Like, there was no chance you're getting out of that. Stop. Like, don't make it bad, right? Like, this is the thing he did well last year. If nothing else, right, he didn't fuck you up. He was not setting you back by putting your defense in immediate negative positions. And it just feels like this has been a regression this year. I don't know why. Maybe he's pressing because he feels like, oh, I make $40 million now. I have to earn the contract, which is like a real thing. Like, I get that. But, the two things that I just feel like from the first 4 games, and especially from last night, I take away from it is they shouldn't have given him the contract. And more importantly, for like the purposes of this season, he needs to stop trying to do whatever the hell it is he's doing. Like, he's not capable right now of making dynamic plays in the passing game. And honestly, it might be better for him to just stop, because there are times yesterday where I'm like, look, if you're not gonna take the fucking deep shot, then just get out of the pocket and run, because there were lanes to run. There are escape lanes for him to run, and he wouldn't take it because he's trying to stand there and like dance around and make a play. But then he's not throwing the ball. And then when he did throw the ball, he's making like these horrible reads. I just, like, even when they got the ball moving a little bit in the second half, that one drive, right, where they're on like the 2-yard line or whatever, before the pick six, basically, that drive leading up to the pick six, everything is to the flats. Everything is to the flats. They didn't work the middle of the field at all. And I don't know if that was like schematic or if they basically abandoned it because maybe they didn't think they had time, or maybe it was like, he's not seeing it. He's just not seeing the field at all. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. None of us are there. Again, that's one where like maybe you'd want to see the All-22 and see how that developed over the course of the game. But like, I'll just say this: like, I watched Daboll run an offense in Buffalo for 3 years. I watched him do it with John Brown and Cole Beasley as his 1 and 2. I saw him do it obviously then for 2 years with Diggs as 1. But like, he's never been a guy that there's not like, at least with maybe he's been pretty flexible, so maybe this is different. But like, there were not a lot of crossers. There were not a lot of like of those drags across the field. But like, he'd work the middle of the field right with option routes for like Beasley and stuff like that. And I feel like I was seeing some of that early in the game yesterday for Wan'Dale. And I think he even hit Waller right across. Oh, no, that was on the sideline. But like, Waller is going across the middle of the field a little bit to start these games. He targeted Waller like once. Like, at some point, if you're not targeting these dudes, one, either they're going to stop running those routes hard, or two, like, your coordinator's going to be like, well, if he's not seeing it, then I'm just not going to call it.
I'm not going to call it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the thing with that pit, like, if I was a Giants fan, that would really piss me off is like, you cannot tell me that there aren't plays that are just like, Waller is your first read. And if Waller's your first read, guess what? He is like 19 feet tall. Throw it up there. Let him make a fucking play for you. That's the point of getting a guy like Waller. Like, that is the point of, like, why did the Dolphins go and get Tua, right? Why did they do that? Because they were like, okay, maybe Tua isn't the most talented quarterback in the league, but he's pretty good at, like, scheduled throws, and his timing is good, his accuracy is good. And you know what? If we can just get a guy that we're like, you don't need to worry about if he's open or not, just fucking throw it there. Just throw it into this place. He will go get it for you. Like, that makes the game easier for this guy. I'm not saying Waller is not Tyreek Hill, right? Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, like, these guys are on a totally different level to Waller. But Waller's pretty damn good. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good receiver. You have to be able to trust these guys. Like, and there was that one, I mean, I think it might have been a pick. I don't remember. It was a pick, right? But like, they showed him like, I forgot who was coming across. And Aikman, I got to give him credit because I usually hate Aikman on broadcast. But I thought last night he really restrained himself from like killing Jones, even though I could tell he wanted to kill Jones.
I thought he sympathized with Jones a little bit.
I thought he sympathized him, but like that pick, so I think the second pick he threw, they showed it from the end zone angle. And he was like specific. He didn't want to kill him, so he was like, you know, could he anticipate that a little bit more? Because he's waiting for the guy to come out the break before he's throwing that. And that's one where you got to throw it before he's out of the break. That's the entire point of that throw. And so to me, it's either like he doesn't have trust in what he's seeing, or he doesn't have trust in what the coordinators are asking him to do, or he doesn't trust his receivers. And like, none of those things are like, he has to just be better. He has to just do what is being asked of him. And if that means your receivers suck, fine. But let's find out if your receivers suck. Let's find out if the play calling is garbage. Let's find out if you can just let it rip. Like, he didn't even let it rip yesterday. That's the thing that was really crazy. You're down like 3 touchdowns. He's still checking it down, trying to run for 10 yards. I don't know. I just thought it was like, we can talk about the offensive line all day, and they were awful. It's like, you know, they deserve all the criticism you could throw at them, but like, I don't like the difference between great quarterbacks and game managers are great quarterbacks can mask some of your offensive line issues. Game managers can't. And if Daniel Jones is just a game manager, then they should be out of the Daniel Jones business by the end of next season. Yeah.
I think they had a vision for Paris Campbell in this offense to be kind of like running those same option choice routes that Cole Beasley ran until they fully got Wan'Dale back and confident.
Wan'Dale looked good last night, by the way.
Yeah. The good part is that I don't think we'll be seeing too much more of Paris Campbell. His snaps already dropped last night. But on that pick six, if you watch Campbell's route progression, you see, you know, he closes the cushion with the defender, makes a break outside, and then whips back inside. So initially when it happened, my thought process was, okay, I think that was a choice route, you know, an option route, and they just miscommunicated. And then obviously, like, the read is still too Waller. Like, there's nothing to kind of go against that. He's ass naked. But at that point, it's also like, you know, granted, Campbell's in his first year here, but Daniel Jones is in the second year in the system. It's the 4th game of the season. It's like,
read the leverage.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's why the ball shouldn't have gone there anyway, no matter what Campbell chose, because Woolen is on the outside. Campbell is getting covered by Witherspoon, who played fantastic last night. And there is no way you're throwing that ball to Paris Campbell. Wan'Dale Robinson, who was further by the boundary, was a better option. I mean, it's not even like you're not reading Wan'Dale because he's on the opposite side of the field or he's not a part of that concept. Like, Wan'Dale is in that area with Waller and Campbell. There's no reason why an NFL quarterback can't be looking at all three of those guys at the same time and diagnosing, okay, this guy's stepping up, I'm hitting Waller, or Woolen's not biting, but Witherspoon bit, so, I'm going to dump it off to Wan'Dale. Like, this is elementary shit, man. And it's the most worried I've ever been about the quarterback position for us because people are going to eviscerate this team and they're going to say, this team sucks ass. This defense was fantastic last night. They, from
outside of one play, basically,
outside of the Noah Fant dump off where they simply didn't push him into the out of bounds line for whatever reason, this defense was great. And we have all the talent in the world in that. And because I'm not panicking Kayvon, I think Aziz, when healthy, is bursting onto that, top tier edge rusher kind of level, honestly. But to see Daniel Jones struggle so much with anticipation, to see him kind of see ghosts for the first time, a la Sam Darnold against the Patriots, that's the worst game of his career as a professional. And in years 2 and 3, he had performances that were as bad, but he never had Darren Waller. He never had Brian Daboll. He didn't have Saquon or Andrew Thomas in this one, but, the scheme was never consistent. And he's had all this stuff this year. And it's not just against the Seahawks. We're moving the ball fine on that first drive against the Niners. Mm-hmm. What happens the rest of the game? Sure, they get on the quick stuff. We've seen on online how many deep shots he missed to Hyatt that were there. He didn't pull the trigger. This can't be something that happens when your quarterback's making $40 million, man. I hate to come on here and, just shit on him the way that I am, but he deserves it, man. Like,
well, I mean, I think this is the thing is like, how much is Geno getting paid? Geno's getting like 25, right?
Geno, it's a 3-year, 105, so it's like
it's like 30, 33, 30, yeah, something like that. Like, yeah, it's straight up 35. And Geno flat out looked like 2 times the player yesterday. And he's doing that, like, let's be real, like, that Seahawks offensive line was not good. They're not good at all. They have as many, if not more, injuries than the Giants. Yeah, I understand his weapons are better for sure. Like, Metcalf, fucking, you can go on Ellis Lockett and Jigba, Charbonnet, all these dudes, right? Kenneth Walker, like they have a lot more weapons. I don't disagree with that. But like at some point, if you're making X amount as a quarterback, then you have to be able to make the difference. Like I understand Andrew Thomas isn't there. Okay. I understand that Saquon Barkley isn't there. I understand these things are hard, but like you have to be able to do more than what you're doing. Like you got to be able to get me into the end zone, man. Like you're not playing. This is not him playing like the Bills defense or something. Like he's not playing the Niners. You're playing the Seahawks, who are much better on defense than they've been like they were last year. And in general, I think are going to be a pretty solid team. But like you have to be able to get to the end zone at some point. And if you can't do that, then I don't know. Like, I just think I really like, I will say this, like, I don't need to be worried about it because I'm not a Giants fan. Like, and I wasn't really worried about it because I'm not a Giants fan. So I kind of got why they paid him last summer. But at the same time, I think you have to look back at that decision and be like, well, if you declined his 5th-year option going into the season, and I understand, like, you had this kind of nice, they did a really nice season, right? You go 9-8, you make the wild card, you even win you win the wild card round. Okay, you get smacked by the Eagles, but like that's kind of like, okay, you brushed up against a team that was just a totally different caliber of talent.
It's out of your weight class.
Right. It's out of your weight class. I get that. I think I don't know what happened. I don't know if this was like Shane or was it Joe Shane, like if that was him, or if ownership was like, hey, look, we had a good season, we want to bring this guy back, whatever. Like, I don't know what happened there. Maybe Daboll loved him and wanted him back. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know if there's even been any reporting about this. Whatever happened, though, I think that was a mistake. Like, they should have stuck with their initial eval. I don't think they ever anticipated being 9-8 last year. I really believe they went into that season being like, we win 5-6 games. Let's tear this down to the studs and let's just start from scratch, basically, which they kind of did in some ways. But when you pay Daniel Jones to come back now as your quarterback, it changes the expectation of this second season. And you also punted on, like, not that you didn't have the capital for it, but you did not have the opportunity then to draft a quarterback or sign a quarterback, whatever it was. Like, I think in retrospect, again, like the smarter choice probably would have been like, do you truly believe that Daniel Jones now, after what you've seen this year, is a franchise guy? And based on like, I think Daboll has been really frustrated with Daniel Jones this season. I feel like last year he was cool with it. I think he understood Jones was kind of executing what he could.
Yeah.
And they simplified the scheme a lot last year. Like they're trying to do more stuff this year. That's obvious to me. That it seems like they're trying to be more ambitious in the passing game. And he's not executing that. And I think Daboll yesterday, he was after that pick six, you could tell he was like, I mean, he was basically, what the fuck are you doing? And I just think like if you gave him truth serum, I think he'd be like, look, I would rather we did not have this guy. And I just feel like the mistake was paying him what they paid him. I think they probably should have just franchised him for a year if they wanted to have a stopgap for a year and played it out again. Because I really just don't think he did enough to prove himself to the degree of contract he got now. Like, granted, I don't think the 160 he got is not really necessarily like an accurate representation of what the contract is, right? It's like really like a 2-year deal with, you know, you can get out of it after the next season, or there's another, like, I think it's like the dead money, even the year after that is much better. But like, I don't know if you can wait 2 years. But like right now, I don't know, it feels really shitty because it feels like you're almost now convinced he is not the guy. And at the same time, what are you going to do? You're going to play Tyrod? And, you know, like ultimately you're also burning, like, look, let's be real. You drafted Jalen Hyatt. It's rookie contract. Wandale Robinson, rookie contract. Darren Waller, he's what, 30? Like, yeah, he's not a young dude. So you're almost like burning a year right here. You're just not doing anything with this stuff. And you're not learning about these guys the way he's playing. Like, that's the most frustrating part of it. I know, I think you might have tweeted this out, but it's like, if I was a Panthers fan, I think probably the thing that would frustrate me a little bit about like Bryce Young versus like what they saw when Darnold was in was like, okay, well, understandable that Bryce Young is struggling as a rookie, but we're also not learning stuff about the pieces around us, which we can be learning as we saw when Sam Darnold played. Now, like, again, rookie quarterback, so maybe you're a little bit more understanding of that. Daniel Jones is not a rookie quarterback. Part of the reason you kind of are okay with him is the idea of, well, he gives us a baseline level of competence, and that will allow us to evaluate other pieces. And in the meantime, like, let's see what he can do, right? He's still not too old. Like, maybe he can develop into something more, whatever. If he's not even giving you that baseline competence, then it's awful in almost every which way, because he's not even like a rookie quarterback who's, well, you're like, oh, well, the best is yet to come. Like, this is just a total downer for them. So, yeah.
If it's year 5 and you can't throw across the field to a pretty large window with anticipation, right? Like, there's just not anything that I can say in terms of, you know, giving people hope in how you're going to play. Like, Paris Campbell is coming across the field with a linebacker whose hips are facing Daniel Jones, right? So he's going to have to accelerate to meet Paris Campbell on that route. And he's sitting there in the pocket, triple pumping the ball with defenders bearing down on him. And that's the play where, like, it doesn't matter who you're throwing to. Doesn't matter who you're getting protected by. Doesn't matter who your coach is. If that's the level of hesitancy and decision-making that you have after 5 years in this league, you might fucking suck, man. You might. You just might. And it's man. It makes me sick, dude. It makes me fucking sick.
Well, I mean, look, I think the upshot would be hopefully you get Andrew Thomas back here next week or something, maybe the week after. Maybe you get Saquon back. Like, at least, you know, when those guys are healthy, he's shown he can at least run an offense when those guys are healthy at times. But, like, it doesn't, again, like, it really, I feel like last year they really gimmicked and, you know, put training wheels on the offense and really, like, dumbed it down and simplified it to kind of, some of it was a lot of it was a talent gap, if we're going to be real. And some of it now you're wondering, like, I really do wonder if Daboll kind of dumbed it down, because he's like, I don't think this guy can get through the progressions. And Yeah, sure. He might also be like, well, look, John Feliciano, that guy can't hold a fucking block for shit. So like, I'm gonna have to speed things up here. But again, like I really feel like this year they're trying to do, like he's trying to open up the playbook, and it's just not happening because Jones won't pull the trigger on stuff even when it's there. Like I don't even know. And look, I don't know. Maybe some of this is, is he getting into bad habits and rushing and not making reads and not reading the field because he's been hit so much? Maybe. But like it's hard to take away from the fact that he is causing a lot of these pressures himself. And like it's the chicken or the egg thing. And ultimately, like I don't even know. I don't think it actually matters, because the way I always feel about this is like, I'm not even going to use Josh Allen because I'm a Bills fan. So like people will be like, oh, you're just saying exit shot. Like, no, like, okay, look at Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson has not played behind a great offensive line for many years. And he makes shit happen. And like, I understand Daniel Jones is not as talented as Lamar Jackson, but that's kind of the point, is like, he's not that talented. So if like, you have to be able to make plays in this league in and out of the pocket. And even if you're in the pocket quarterback, you've got to be able to manipulate the pocket and read the field quickly. If anything, it makes it even more important to be a quick processor, right? Like Tom Brady was not some amazing fucking athletic specimen, but the reason he was so great, or Peyton Manning, right? The reason Drew Brees, the reason these guys were so good is because their processing was next level, and their ability to move around in the pocket and just find spaces while the rush is bearing down was like amazing. And so if
that's why Tua is proving us wrong too.
Yeah, and Tua's processing has been awesome. And like, look, we'll see what happens. Like the Bills, they took away his first read, and all of a sudden he didn't look as great as he always had, like he has this year. But I think, look, I've seen enough from him the past couple of years where like maybe he's not an elite guy, but he's definitely a dude that you're like, okay, well, we can make the playoffs. We can win.
He can win a division.
Yeah. We can win 10, 11, 12 games with this guy. Like he's shown enough for me to me that I would believe that. With Jones, I'm like, if last year's the ceiling of what you can kind of do offensively, I don't know I don't really know what you're supposed to do with that. And ultimately, you don't even get the benefit of one of the benefits that the Eagles have when they drafted Jalen Hurts second round is, okay, now you have all this money you can spend on other positions to put talent around him. This is like the advantage the Niners have right now, at least temporarily, with Purdy. And like Jones is now on big boy money, so you don't have that luxury. Like he has to be able to, hey, we're not going to spend on a right guard, or we're not going to spend on interior linemen, whatever it is, because you are supposed to be able to, like, that's what we paid you for. That is what we are paying you for, is so that we don't have to pay that position. And like, that is what the best quarterbacks in the league, not even the best quarterbacks in the league, good quarterbacks, just good quarterbacks, that's what they're supposed to offer you. If he's not offering you that, then he's overpaid. And quite frankly, he's not really worth the money, and they should probably be, I don't know. I don't know if it would be, if you gave Joe Shane truth serum, I don't know if he would tell you that he would be too upset, depending on his job security. But I don't know if he'd be too upset if the Giants ended up with a top 5 pick. Let's just say that.
The thing for me is, we're not going to be bad enough for Caleb Williams. Probably won't be bad enough for Drake May. At that point, you're not really tanking for a quarterback, because I don't think anybody moves you enough in this draft class to spend, that elite capital. I know it's getting a little bit into scouting and whatnot, and people aren't really there yet, but I'm not taking Riley Leonard, another Duke quarterback. I would just shit myself. But there's no Jordan Travis from FSU, not a top 5 quality guy. Whatever you want to call it. Maybe JJ McCarthy is, who knows? We'll see. But there is like minimal scenarios where Daniel Jones is not the starting quarterback next year, in my opinion. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say this too. Like watching that game yesterday, and honestly, just watching the league over the last few years, like the Giants, Jalen Hyatt, I think he's a nice piece. He's not a number 1 boundary guy. Like they don't have an elite boundary guy, and you could see that yesterday, where like Geno Smith can just throw it to DK Metcalf whenever he needs to just throw it somewhere. Like, and worst case scenario, DK will like probably defend the ball if nothing else, but like decent chance he comes up with a catch. The Giants don't like their outside talent is so fucking bad. It is so bad. I think it gives teams they don't have to worry about anything outside the numbers. They don't have to worry about the boundary at all. And like it makes everything harder. And like, look, that we can sit here and bitch about Daniel Jones. It's not like everything else in the offense is perfect either. So like that, I mean,
but I'm glad you brought it up though, because when we watched Zach Wilson Sunday night against the Chiefs, we were like, at least I was like, this guy like just threw a back shoulder to throw Tyler Conklin of all people open over the middle. Like this guy threw a back shoulder to Lazard in the end zone. Like that's legitimate shit that you do when you're a talented player, right? Like forget how he can't throw a check down half the time to save his life, but when he lets it rip, and it's pretty professionally a high level throw. I can't fathom the fact that Daniel Jones doesn't throw a back shoulder fake to Darren Waller. You know, like you said, he's 19 feet tall, right? You know, verbatim quote, he's 19 feet tall. It probably is that tall in real life. But even to Darius Slayton, you've been with this guy on the same team for 5 years. You don't have the chemistry to throw a back shoulder fade. You don't have chemistry with Wan'Dale Robinson. Granted, he wasn't playing for the first 2 weeks of the season, but he was your rookie last year. You know, your slot. You got to have faith in that guy, man.